Hey, we're back again. The Science of Getting Rich Remixed by Misty Barron, read by the author. Chapter 9, The Will and the Mental Diet. Most people miss this. Waddles nailed it. The will is not for controlling other people or forcing outcomes. That's robbery, whether by fist or by thought. Spirit never honors coercion. You cannot will someone else to change, even for their own good. You cannot bend God into submission either. Divine intelligence is not stubborn or stingy. It is already for you, more eager to give than you are to receive. So what is the proper use of the will? To control yourself, to discipline your attention, to keep your mind fixed on vision, gratitude, and faith, no matter the distractions. This is where most people fail. They try to think rich for 5 minutes a day, then spend the other 23 hours scrolling news about layoffs, doom, and corruption. They pray for abundance while watching social feeds that glorify scarcity and outrage. They want to be healthy while binging medical shows about disease. They want loving, stable relationships while consuming dysfunctional reality television. Waddles warned, "You don't get health by studying sickness. You don't get righteousness by studying sin. And you don't get wealth by studying poverty." How to curate your mental diet. Your mental diet works like your food diet. What you consume becomes part of you. Here's how to audit and upgrade. The 3-category system. Eliminate content that glorifies suffering, celebrates failure, or profits from outrage. This includes doom scroll, social media, algorithmic rage bait, 24/7 crisis news, designed to trigger fear, not inform, reality TV that normalizes dysfunction. Limit content that's occasionally useful but toxic in excess. News. Get informed, don't get addicted. 15 minutes daily max. Social comparison scrolls. Check in, don't live there. Problem-focused conversations. Acknowledge, don't rehearse. Amplify content that expands possibility. Biographies of people who overcame what you're facing. Documentaries about innovation, nature, human potential. Conversations with people who see solutions, not just problems. Notice I'm not saying ignore reality. I am saying limit your exposure to narratives of lack and increase your exposure to narratives of possibility. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a real threat and a TikTok about a threat. Protect your attention like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. And let's strike that word from our vocabulary. Poor. To call anyone poor, even in sympathy, even in the backhanded blessing, poor so-and-so, is to bind them in a prison of limitation. Poverty is not identity. It is a temporary condition. When you label someone poor, you reinforce the lie that they cannot rise, that a higher power will not lift them. That is not truth. Biblical wisdom affirms this. When God changed a life, he often changed the name. Abram became Abraham, father of many nations, expanding his destiny. Jacob, once known as the supplanter and deceiver, was renamed Israel, one who wrestles with God and prevails. A mark of transformation and overcoming. Simon, impulsive and unstable, was renamed Peter, the Rock, destined to anchor the church. Even Rachel, in her grief, named her son Benoni, son of my sorrow. But his father Jacob renamed him Benjamin, son of my right hand, affirming strength instead of despair. Over and over, names shifted from limitation to destiny, from weakness to divine potential. Not poor, but abundant. Not broken, but whole. Not sinner, but saint in progress. To see someone at their best is not coercion. It is blessing. It is calling forth their highest possibility. And when you desire for others what you desire for yourself, it returns to you tenfold. This is why Wattles insisted that your will must refuse fixation on sin, evil, disease, or lack. Not because they don't exist, but because what you magnify multiplies. To study corruption is to give it energy. To binge tragedy is to tune your nervous system to despair. And here's where well-meaning people go astray. They fixate so much on others' struggles that they reinforce the very limitations they're trying to address. When you constantly see someone as broken or struggling, you're holding a vision of them in lack. And what you hold in vision for others, you help create. This doesn't mean ignore real obstacles or refuse practical help. It means acknowledge the current situation without making it their permanent identity. See the person, not just the problem. See their potential, not just their pain. That's how you truly bless someone, by holding a vision of their breakthrough even when they can't yet see it themselves. Wattles warned that even well-meaning people will miss this. They fill their minds with documentaries about corruption, with horror films that flood the nervous system with fear, or with video games that normalize violence until children believe brutality is entertainment. And then they wonder why society looks darker every year. What you feed your imagination is what you seed into the collective field. The truth is that your will is a gate. Keep it shut against the flood of outrage and fear, and keep it open towards vision, faith, and gratitude. Every time you succeed in directing your thought, you build strength. Every time you let your mind wander into complaint or pity, you weaken the muscle. The universe does not need your protest. Humanity needs your vision. Spirit does not multiply through your anger. Spirit multiplies through your gratitude. When you use your will correctly, you stop being a critic of life and start being a co-creator of it. Modern proof. Mike Rowe built his dirty jobs empire not by escaping hard work, but by reframing it. While culture often dismissed blue-collar labor as less than, Rowe shined a spotlight on the dignity and skill of people working the toughest jobs. The result? An Emmy-winning career and a platform that celebrated usefulness as wealth. But Rowe didn't stop there. Through his Mike Rowe Works Foundation, he has funded millions in scholarships for trade schools, proving that prosperity doesn't require a 4-year degree. By helping thousands launch careers in the trades, plumbers, welders, mechanics, builders, he demonstrated Wattles' law in action. When you bless value instead of cursing lack, increase multiplies. Rowe showed that what most overlook holds the seeds of opportunity, and that honoring real work can transform not just one career, but entire communities. Wisdom across traditions. Every wisdom tradition agrees. Willpower is not for domination, but for devotion. The Stoics taught that control of the self, not the world, is the path to freedom. Hindu scripture reminds us that self-mastery is greater than mastery of 1,000 men in battle. And the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, insists that true power is not force, but alignment. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. So let's be clear. Your will is not a hammer for beating life into shape. It's a steering wheel. Use it to direct your attention towards abundance, gratitude, and vision, and you'll find yourself on the road to wealth without detour. What to do next? Audit your inputs. For 1 week, track what you read, watch, and scroll. Does it feed possibility or does it feed fear? Cut what drains. Blessed by vision. When tempted to label someone poor or hopeless, stop. Instead ask, what would Source call this person? What name would reflect their highest potential, not their current struggle? Hold that vision for them, even silently. That's how you bless with will instead of curse with pity. Guard the flame. Pick one sacred hour a day where you are ruthless about attention. No complaints, no distractions, only vision and gratitude. End the day by replacing one fearful thought with a vision, affirmation, or truth that affirms increase. Spark query. Why is it that the more I direct my will towards vision and gratitude, the more Spirit multiplies life for me and through me? Thanks for hanging out with me. See you next week for the next chapter of The Science of Getting Rich Remixed by Misty Barron, available on Amazon. Hey, if you like this chapter, would you please like, subscribe, share with all your friends? They need to know how to get rich too. Sharing is caring.